Good morning and welcome to the Celtic Way's first live morning briefing. It's Wednesday, July 14th, 2021, and today we've got a new website launching. It's the Celtic Way, and we're going to have loads of contributions, deep dive articles, tactical insight, documentary podcasts, all revolving around Celtic and the new era that's beginning under Ange Postecoglou this summer. So this morning we've got myself, Andy Bargh, and an esteemed guest alongside me, Tony Haggerty, to have a look at what's in the news this morning with regards to Celtic. A couple of big transfer stories, actually, which we'll take a look at. It looks like the wheels are very much in motion, Tony, for a few arrivals at the club, and we've got the Michelin game fast approaching next week. So I don't think these can come quickly enough as far as the support is concerned. So keep your eye out for what's coming up in the very near future. We've got the website launching this afternoon, I believe, and we'll have a couple of really good articles going live, and we've got a documentary podcast on Celtic 6 Rangers 2 from the year 2000, with interviews with Martin O'Neill, Jackie McNamara, Paul Lambert, and Lubo Moravcik as well got involved. So some great stuff going to be in the website soon. So keep your eye out, and you should be able to see that pop up on all your social media channels in the very near future. But let's get stuck into the transfer talk, Tony. It seems that in the last, 10-15 minutes, the Carl Starfelt move is nearing completion. A £5 million fee agreed with Ruben Kazan, according to Fabrizio Romano, who's the Earth's transfer guru at the moment, it would seem. So the Swedish centre-half looks to be on his way. Is this one that you're quite excited about?
Morning, Andy. First and foremost, an exciting new project. Glad to be part of it. I think the Celtic supporters, I think there'll be a collective sigh of relief this morning to think they wanted a central defender, and Starfelt certainly fits the bill. Get some great experience in Sweden and Russia, and he's got 3 international caps. He's 26. He's the right age. Seems to be a ball-playing centre-half, and his passing stats are remarkable. It's something like 91.5% completion, and he rarely gets booked or sent off. So, I don't know if he likes a tackle or not, you know what I mean? But that's quite impressive, and I think the Celtic supporters will be excited by this. I also think it's a needs must. I think Ange Postecoglou was aware that he needed somebody in before Thursday's deadline. But my understanding is that Celtic, if they register their intent to sign players, they can sign players up to 24 hours before the game actually takes place against Michelin. Is that right? As long as they register their intent to sign someone. I think that's the loophole over that deadline, because the deadline's Thursday, tomorrow, for the first leg. But I think if you register your intent, then you can conclude deals up to 24 hours before the game itself. But if they can get Starfelt over the line, I would think he would feature, because I believe he's going to have a medical in Moscow either today or tomorrow or whenever. So I would imagine that they would want him for the first leg, and if not the first leg, certainly the second.
Yeah, it seems like this one will be accelerating quickly. The personal terms are no problem. Seemingly this has been in the pipeline for a while. So as soon as the medical is done, hopefully, then that'll just be the T's crossed and the I's dotted.
I think the sticking point was the fee going to Stockholm, the Swedish club, wasn't it? I think the sell-on clause. So I think that was the one that had the deal kind of tipped, hanging in the balance, so to speak. But I think it was one that Celtic were very keen to get, and I now believe that they're turning their attentions to Brandon Soppy.
There are a couple from Rennes. It's a confusing situation. So that there are 2 right backs in Rennes: Sasha Bowie, who's 20, and Brandon Soppy, who I believe is 19, I think.
Yeah.
So 2 young right backs, both at Rennes. Sasha Bowie is in the news with relation to Celtic this morning. So is his right back teammate, Brandon Soppy. So is this what was happening here? It's very rare that you see 2 players from the same position at the same club linked with the same move.
I believe that Brandon Soppy is the one they think will go for more money and is the potential star amongst the 2 of them. But I think they think that Soppy might garner more interest from other clubs. So Bowie could be the fallback position,
Right, okay.
because they're both young, as you say, 19 and 20, not much in it. And it's the modus operandi of Ange Postecoglou, isn't it, that he likes to work with younger players, but he scouts young players that he believes are good enough to go straight in to the first team. So I'm assuming that if he signs either or, that they would go straight in regardless of their age. I think he would pitch them straight in. Especially I think, as I said, I think they hold out a lot of hope for Soppy, because he's the one that they believe is a future and potential star, which would be very good coup if Celtic can get him on board, because then the potential is there for future sell-ons as well for Celtic if he does well at the club. So I mean, it seems to be like a win-win. But as you say, it's a strange one, that, isn't it? Yeah. Two players from the same club, kind of one assuming the position and the other his deputy. You would have to imagine.
I think Boy. The chat seems to be that Boy would cost around a third of what Soppy would potentially cost. Boy didn't actually play for Rennes much last season. He was on loan at Dijon, and he seems to have had a good season. He was playing a key pass every game, intercepting the ball at least twice every game, averaging nearly 2.5 tackles a game. So this is a young boy that's clearly got something about him. I just wonder what if the price is going to come into it, or if it's not going to come into it, because 1 million compared to 3 or so for two players the same age, what takes precedence there?
Well, I think given Celtic's previous, you would probably think they might go with the cheaper option. It's just that sometimes the way they do business. But as I alluded to there, you don't know if Celtic. Well, they've clearly done their homework here, and it's a either or, isn't it? To see, because I think, as I said, Soppy could attract other interest. So if they can get Boy in for a third of the price, then it's obviously an option that they're clearly considering. And I also think that today, because Thursday's a deadline, you might see a lot of activity here, Andy, today.
Mm-hmm.
Because the deals that they've been working on, maybe on the back burner, there's maybe a necessity here now, because Ange has had a look in a couple of friendlies, and he's maybe thinking, we need this, this and this. And also as well, there are reports that Ayer's agents putting about that his clients very unhappy because of the gentleman's agreement that they're supposed to have had. So maybe that's bubbling away as well, that Celtic do think they can get the 20 million as opposed to 15. So, I was reading there, someone said to me the other day, well, why would Celtic turn that kind of money down? If they didn't think they maybe knew something else, that someone else might come in, or somebody might up their offer to what they want. So I think there's a day. I think there could be a merry-go-round day to day, happening with players coming in. Maybe someone like Ayer heading out. Could be wrong, but I've got a feeling you can strap yourself in for that one.
You would expect the arrival, or the potential imminent arrival, of Starfelt will start a domino effect for Christopher Ayer, probably, because he does play in the left side of a defence. He's not left-footed, Carl Starfelt, but he has played predominantly on the left side of a defence for Rubin Kazan over in Russia.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you there. I think if this guy comes in, then it's the kind of beginning of the end for Ayer, isn't it? Because they don't need all those players, or all those defenders, So
yeah, well, you would imagine it will be Starfelt and Julian at the heart of the defence for Celtic. Yeah,
or to give Celtic fans panic, Beaton. The old fullback near Beaton.
I know you said that he's not as much of a ball player as Christopher Ayer, but and you also asked if he's maybe not as like a sort of rough and ready, rough and tumble centre half. But he did win more duels last season in his league than any centre half in Scotland did, and he also gave away fewer fouls in Russia last season than any centre half in Scotland did. So I don't think it's that he doesn't like the fouls. I think it's just that he's very good at them, and not very good at tackling and not giving them away.
No, do you know what? I mean, those are mighty impressive stats, and I like to the passing. He's clearly a ball-playing centre half, So, and he's clearly good at his job, because the Russian league is a decent standard. So and if you're top of that for those stats, then you've clearly got a wee bit of pedigree, and he's 26, probably coming into his prime years. So this on paper looks a very good deal for Celtic.
Absolutely.
And a scouting job that they've probably looked and thought this guy could do a job for us or fits the bill. So I think the Celtic fans should get excited about this guy because on paper he looks the real deal.
We've got a comment here from Ron Baird who's bringing up another player that seems to be on his way to the club. Reports in Israel suggesting that Leo Abada, who's predominantly a right winger forward player, is going to be on his way. 19-year-old, one cap for Israel. The interesting thing here is that his agent, Duru Dahan, has history with Scottish football. He was the one that helped bring over Berham Kyle, Nir Baton, El Hamed, Ophir Marciano to Hibs, and who's now got a good move over to Feyenoord. So I think that this Leo Abada, who again seems to be about the $3.5 million mark, is coming over as a 19-year-old, not to be part of the development team, but probably to go straight in and challenge for a place in the team.
Well, you'd have thought if you're lashing out that kind of cash, Andy, I think they see them as first team ready players, regardless of their age. You wouldn't pay £3.5 million for a project or a Colts team player, would you? So I would imagine Leo Abada. And again, from what we know about Ange Postecoglou's teams, that's his MO, isn't it? He likes to play with wide men and wingers. Now that would suggest to me that Forrest maybe not ready for this tie, and he wants a wide man, an out-and-out wide man to come in. Karamoko played out wide, in the friendlies, and he might try him as well. So, but I think he's going to bring in somebody certainly to supply the width and the crosses and to get down the flank and see what he can do. But I mean, Leo Abada, they are saying he can be a striker as well. So he's maybe been brought in for a dual purpose, because when Forrest comes back, he'll automatically slot into that wide role. If Karamoko does well in the wide role, then he might say to Leo Abada, look, maybe play you more through the middle moving forward.
Yeah, but it's interesting, Tony, because he does seem to be classed as a right winger, but his coach over at Maccabi Petah Tikva, who aren't the best team in Israel by any stretch of the imagination, they just won the second division last season. So we're not talking about a team like Beersheva here that are routinely qualifying for European football. So his coach over at Petah Tikva said he's the best finisher in Israel by a mile, which is quite strange to hear about a right winger rather than a centre forward,
Well, I'll tell you what, the Celtic fans will be excited if they've got a winger that can also score goals. So because obviously they didn't score enough last season. So I think if he can come in off the flank and score, then that's something that Celtic have been missing for a while as well. I know James Forrest does it, does that role, but he's not prolific in that sense. But, it's players like that excite, and if he can, as I say, if he can combine the dual roles by playing out wide but coming in and offering you a real goal threat himself, then I think Celtic, again, it's if he turns out to be what he says on the tin, then it could be another decent scouting job done there with Leo, and hopefully he gets a chance to excite the supporters.
The Israeli media outlet One are saying that he's already in London and he'll be getting a connecting flight to Glasgow today for formalities. It seems that everything has been agreed and it just needs to be officially written down in black and white. So with Leo Abada, one of the Rennes right backs, we don't know what one, Carl Starfelt, it seems that there is certainly a bit of movement happening before the deadline that you were talking about, Tony.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, as I said there, I think needs must with Celtic, and a lot of Celtic fans will breathe more comfortably possibly by the end of the business today. That they've got some bodies in and players that look as if they will enhance the squad, and they will go straight in and they'll play. Because I think fans, like say, the age thing worries them, that they might be projects, that kind of thing. But you trust the manager, and he does like to work with young players and make them better. That's his management philosophy and management style. And despite the fact that they're 19, 20, that won't worry him, because he will work his magic on them and make them better. So I think it's exciting. I think if you're a Celtic supporter, you'll be excited today, and you'll feel a wee bit better within yourself, because had they gone into the qualifiers with the squad that they've got just now, they would have feared the worst.
I think the young guys, Tony, I think it depends if you're glass half full or glass half empty, because for 18, 19-year-olds that have been brought in and disappeared into the B team and had 2 or 3 loan spells and then never been seen again, there are successful examples too. Look at Frimpong, for example. Just a couple of seasons ago, came in, nobody expected him to take the right back jersey. He stamped his authority, showed what he was all about, and made the position his. Patrick Roberts, when he came up from Man City, spent a couple of months in the development team, and then suddenly the management team were like, wow, this boy is a player, let's get him. And the team, yes, there are examples like, I suppose, Kundai Benyu, Okoflex, these guys that have come up and kind of just disappeared without a trace. But there are successful examples too of young boys being brought in, going into the team and working their magic.
Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, of course. There we go. Yeah.
You know, as you said there, age is no barrier. You know, John Collins always said that, you know, age means nothing. Your talent and ability, you know, are the 2 things that is measured when you're a Celtic player. And if you're young enough, you're good enough. And if these guys come in and show talent and ability, they'll go in the team because they will enhance the team. It's not difficult at this moment in time to enhance that Celtic team. They've had a poor season. You know, you can't get away from that. So any quality or talent and ability coming in should be able to hold down a regular starting position in that team. You know, and I think the Celtic fans are excited at the fact that they can see what positions need filled. So the manager obviously sees it too. You know, centre back, right back, winger. You know, these are positions that the fans would identify as needing filled or needing reinforcements. And so that's a good thing that the manager can see that too. And that's the kind of areas that they've targeted. You know, arguably they might need a goalkeeper, they might need another centre back. But if you can bring in a few before, it just gives everybody a lift. You know, it gives that wee feel-good factor back to the team, and there's a freshness about it, and on you go. You know, suddenly the Midtjylland game doesn't seem too daunting. Got a couple of new signings, you know, hopefully they can hit the ground running. You know, that kind of thing. If they go in with the same team, it would have been really stale, and they were getting in on a downer or a bit of negativity there and saying, oh, where's the new signing? So I think you have to say, if all these signings come to fruition, then it's a real positive move by Celtic, and it's a good way of, the fans will get on board with it right away.
Absolutely. So it seems that the ball is very much rolling on 3 players. Liel Abada, 19-year-old winger, plays for Maccabi Petah Tikva in Israel. One of the right backs from Rennes. It's a very strange situation. Either Sasha Bowie or Brandon Soppy. Bowie rumoured to cost around 1 million asking price. Brandon Soppy around 3 times that. And then Carl Starfelt from Rubin Kazan, the most expensive of the lot, at about 5 million.
See, when you're conducting these negotiations for Bowie or Soppy, do you get the 2 of them together and flick a coin? Say call for the right to call and then for the right to get the move. Is that how you do it? How would you? What do you do there?
That's a potential deep dive article for the website there, Tony. Yeah, if you want to get stuck into that.
I would love to be part of that. That'd be brilliant. The 2 of them have a scrap in the changing room or something. See who's the biggest and toughest and the best.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with those 2, because their names are popping up in articles, transfer news for Celtic, both of them. So we'll see what plays out there. But the ones that seem to be happening very, very imminently are Liel Abada and Carl Starfelt. So that's a centre half and a right winger striker hybrid seeming to be in the door at Celtic. So exciting times, new signings in. Ange Postecoglou starting to form a bit of a team if these 2 come through the door. And this is all happening on the day that we're launching our new website, The Celtic Way, which will have loads of tactical insight articles, long read journalisms, features on new signings with former players. We've got documentary podcasts as well. The first one will be out today, Celtic 6 Rangers 2, from Martin O'Neill's debut season, the treble season. So we've got lots of exciting stuff coming, loads of contributions and columnists as well that are sort of not famous Celtic fans, but well-known Celtic fans on Twitter and people that have supported the club for a long time. So yeah, plenty of exciting things to come. Tony, you'll be doing a lot of work for it too. It's a really good idea and an exciting project to be involved in.
Oh, very much so, and I think you know how to push the emotional buttons by, straight in with the podcast in the 6-2 game. That's always a good one to curry favour with the troops. Yeah, but I think most people's memories of that will be fond.
Yeah.
And it was one of those games where I worked at that as a journalist, and you were just rubbing your eyes about what was happening. It was just one of those moments in time where you thought, wow, it was an amazing football match for both sides. So because bearing in mind that Celtic team had lost the league by over 20 points the season before.
Yeah.
So this was and people say if Celtic can maybe lay down an early marker.
Well,
early marker.
It
was, as you just alluded to there, it's become it's now known as the Demolition Derby.
Mm-hmm. So we've got Martin O'Neill, Lubo Moravcik, Paul Lambert, Jackie McNamara, all involved in that podcast reminiscing about the day, and that should be online at some point this afternoon. So yes, keep an eye on all the socials: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, if that's your thing, the Celtic Way. And we've got loads of exciting things coming, and we'll have this morning briefing as well every weekday morning going forward. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again.